Hey there, welcome to the short list. If you're new here, thanks for being here. Every Friday, I write one essay about whatever I couldn't stop thinking about that week. Sometimes it's living with Crohn's disease and an ostomy, sometimes it's sports, building Flexara, moving to South Africa, marriage, or just trying to figure life out after everything that's happened over the last few years. This isn't a self improvement podcast, and it isn't really a teaching podcast either. Think of it more like sitting down for a coffee once a week. I'll read this week's essay exactly as I wrote it, then I'll usually stick around for a few thoughts afterwards if there's anything else on my mind. This week's essay is called Mostly It's Reps. Hope you enjoy it. The ninth hole is my favorite on the course. It's a par 4 with an elevated tee box that looks straight at the Otaniqua Mountains, and the fairway runs downhill to a collection area before an out-of-bounds gap separates it from an elevated green. The tee shot's beautiful. The elevated hilly green routinely turns par chances into doubles and triples for me. Most times I walk off it muttering words I probably shouldn't say here or right here. I climb into the golf cart, drive the 5 minutes home, and catch myself smiling. I can't wait to play it again. I've been playing golf for a couple of months, and I've had a couple of lessons. I still can't hit a driver or a fairway wood, so every hole starts the same way: 4 iron, 5 iron. Keep it in play, advance the ball. It isn't pretty golf. I shot a flat 100 from the blue tees my first time out. I made sure I didn't want to do gimmies or mulligans. I didn't move the ball for a better lie. And then I shot a 94 from the whites the next week. I don't know how I went from a higher score in the blues to a lower score in the whites, but then I was able to shoot a 45 on the front nine a few days after that. So the scores are coming down. And the weird thing is I'm better from probably 115 yards out than I am from inside it. The short game is where all of the shots leak. Too many 3 putts, occasional 4 putts, chips that are chunked or roll over the entire length of the green. If I can learn to score playing like this, then adding a driver later should just make it easier. Padel or paddle, how the rest of the world calls it. It's interesting. It's all padel in the US, and then everywhere else in the world it's paddle. So I'm just going to call it paddle. Paddle has been just as fun. I've stopped slicing my returns and started hitting them flatter. I've learned how to return off the side glass, and I keep it softer so the ball dips at my opponent's feet as they serve and volley. I'm learning to put more backspin on my overheads and high volleys instead of hitting tennis overheads and keeping it flat so the ball flies off the back glass. The goal is to hit backspin or side spin so the ball dies near the back wall. I'm also just learning to use the walls to buy time instead of fighting them. And mostly it's reps. Once I get enough reps, I'll start seeing patterns. And once I start seeing patterns, I usually get good. I was never a pretty player. I played number one singles at a Division I school with tennis strokes that looked like they belonged to the eighth best player on the team. I didn't care. I like dragging people into the mud, ugly matches, giving them no rhythm, making them hit one uncomfortable ball after another. Winning ugly personified. When something changes, I don't spend too long wishing it hadn't. I start figuring out how it works now. Not playing professional pickleball full time has been hard. Crohn's changed my life. It's made it more challenging, physically and emotionally. The ostomy changed it again. I do process what's happening. I go to talk therapy, and I don't skip the grieving part. I just don't stay in it too long. Flexara has been the same mostly. After months of adjusting the formula, sending samples back to the lab, and testing everything again, we're nearly ready to move into production. Got one more sample coming just to make sure it dissolves properly, tastes okay, and then we will carry on. But it's typically one more adjustment, see what happens, come back tomorrow, similar to what I'm doing with golf and paddle. The difference is what a rep costs. In sport, a bad rep is a point or a couple strokes, and there's another rep tomorrow. In business, a bad rep is a production run, choosing the wrong supplier. I'm nervous about whether the method that I use in sport holds when the stakes are this much bigger in business. This week, my right knee filled with fluid. It's the same knee I played on with a torn meniscus from January 2024 until surgery in October 2025. The same stretch where I was managing fistulas, having surgeries, and eventually competing with an ostomy. I honestly don't know how I did all of that at once. This time, my first thought was that this is fucking annoying. It's going to keep me off a paddle court, and I don't want to stop playing. I'm having so much fun doing it, and it's been more about fun than winning, and it's been really good for my head. The part about tournaments and income came later. There's no event this weekend. Me having a swollen knee is not going to affect money. There's nothing I have to be ready for. And for 2 years prior to this, every knee problem was also an income problem. This one isn't. The complication is insurance, though. I still have health coverage in the States, and I can't get it in South Africa yet. So I'm in an in between zone trying to enjoy life without doing something stupid enough to end up in a hospital. So it's ice, elevation, and a few days off paddle. Most days I take the golf cart up to the range by 4 because the ball machine gets turned off at 4:30. The range looks out over the mountains and the sun sets behind them while I hit balls. There are springbucks milling around, guinea fowls scurrying across the grass, and hadi-das announcing the impending sunset with their loud calls. I work on finding a consistent swing until they shut the machine off. Trying to get better is the fun. Some rounds, Danelle and Lovey come along, Lovey up on the seat of the cart like she owns it. I drive with one cheek hanging off the seat as a glorified chauffeur. Those rounds, I leave the scorecard alone and just play. I'm out on a beautiful course in the soft falling sun with my family. If the knee settles, I'll play paddle again soon. If it doesn't, I'll probably be at the range by 4. Sometimes this week I'll play the ninth again. I'll probably make another mess of that green, and I'll probably hit one shot a little better than I did last time. Rob. Thank you for listening. This week's newsletter and pretty much every newsletter is sponsored by Stealth Belt. And Stealth Belt was a game changer for me when I got my ostomy. It was the first thing I ordered when I knew I was going to have an ostomy. And I don't think about it quite as much anymore when I'm playing sports or traveling or living day to day. Whether it's pickleball, golf, paddle, walking the course, hitting range balls, most of that is confidence through the belt. I wear mine every day to the point where I forget it's there. If you do need an ostomy belt or know somebody that has an ostomy that doesn't wear a belt, this is the one I actually use. You can use promo code ROBN for a discount. That's ROBN for a discount. You'll get 10% off, and I will provide the link in the show notes for you to check that out. And a new segment that I want to do on the podcast and in the article each week is This Week in South Africa. A few weeks after I moved here, Danelle told me to turn left at the robot. I can't talk. I spent an embarrassing amount of time looking for an actual robot and went straight past it. She meant the traffic light. Every traffic light in South Africa is called a robot. I still haven't quite gotten used to it, and the country may actually have to rethink the name once AI becomes more than a chat box. That's it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you did make it all the way to the end, I really appreciate you spending part of your day with me. If you enjoy these, the easiest way to support what I'm building is to subscribe to the short list on Substack. It's free, and every Friday, or potentially a Saturday, you'll get the essay in your inbox before the podcast comes out. I'd also love to hear from you. Just reply to the newsletter or leave a comment and let me know what resonated, what you disagreed with, or made you think a little bit differently. I'll be back next Friday or Saturday with another edition of the Short List. I'm Rob Nunnery. Thanks for being here.